Hi, my name is Marianne Marlowe. Welcome to the Sex with Dr. Zen show. Today, my two guests are Bruce Anderson and Susan Meehan, and we're going to be talking about orgasmic meditation and our sexual energy sex chakra. You're not going to want to miss this episode. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to the show, and I'm talking with Susan Meehan today on the Sex Chakra, which is a really important energy center in our body, and once we learn to generate and utilize it, we can do creative feats of magic. To tell us about the work you do, the Sex Chakra. I understand it. I think I've harnessed it for years because I understand the creativity that can be pulled out of that area of the body. Just explain a little bit about what that Sex Chakra does.
Well, I help people to balance their energy fields, and the chakra system is part of the human energy fields. Each chakra is a spinning wheel of light that is not able to be seen by human eyes, but they are there and they are real. And the Sacral Chakra, or the Sex Chakra, is one of 7 of these spinning wheels of light that are essentially spinning wheels of energy and consciousness that align the spine, beginning from the root up to the top of the head. So it sits directly in the middle of the pelvis,
Right.
and it is responsible for governing our sexuality, our sensuality, and our creativity, being that it houses our reproductive organs.
So creativity, I want to get back to that particular element that can be enhanced with this energy center. When you say creative, can we be creative sexually?
Very
Or
much so,
Can
yeah.
we be creative outside of that sex energy element?
Very much so.
So sublimating would be something that could happen
Yes.
if you start to learn how to
Most
move
definitely, most definitely. And we can do that by making sure that that energy center is balanced and that it's spinning in a maximized fashion,
Right.
and that it's energetically, we use words like clean, not sort of mucked up
Right.
with displaced energy.
So how do we balance that sex chakra?
Well, we balance it by using our conscious intention. So we can use visualization techniques and breath work, sound work, movement will also help balance it. And by keeping ourselves spiritually, mentally, and emotionally balanced through maybe some soul care work or private sessions with a psychotherapist, making sure that we're not caught in repressed behavioral patterns and unconscious belief systems that are
Right.
stuck there energetically.
How does it become stuck? Like what's the hindrance there? That's
Well, if there's been trauma in our past or an unhappy childhood or an unhappy home life, we can make agreements and negative beliefs about ourselves. And that emotion and that kind of energy tends to get stuck if it does not get reconciled. And it will get stuck in the sacral chakra. That's the house of the unconscious.
right. So when we pull it out and unstifle it,
Right.
What type of breathing exercises will help pull and draw that out of that center?
It can be just normal kinds of breath, but using conscious intention. So aligning your mind, bringing your focus and your attention to that energy center.
Meditative.
It can be very meditative, yes.
When we're wanting to get creative sexually, so let's go somewhere else with this. How does that generate, like,
Our creativity?
yeah, with what does it mean to be creative sexually with focus on the sex chakra?
Well, for me, that means being a little bit liberal, being liberated sexually, and being able to, if that sexual center is balanced and whole, then it allows us to have access to more of those higher spiritual aspects of ourselves, which will inspire us to be more creative.
Can we gain more vitality and energy by just unleashing it?
Absolutely, absolutely. The
And-
liberation that's available to us by having access to that energy and power is quite potent.
So it's the most highest vibration that we have in our body is the sex chakra.
Well,
Is
I'm
it
not so
not?
sure
You-
about
you don't
that.
think so?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's a very potent center, absolutely. But each of the chakras is designed to be very individual, and they all have tremendous power.
So if we really release that and have it weaving and permeating and utilizing through our
Right.
whole body, it can generate and radiate,
Generates and radiates, and it liberates all the rest of the chakras as well.
adding youth.
Youth, vitality,
Do you
creativity, vibrance,
Do you-
sexuality and
yeah.
sensuality.
do you see a lot of women having a lot of stifled problems in that area? Or is
Both
it-
men and women, but yes, I mean, when there's been abuse, when there's been sexual abuse, that gets stuck there.
How long does it stay there? How long do you have to work to
Well,
weed it out?
I think it totally depends on the person. It's very individual.
Right.
It can't, there's no sort of global answer to that. Everybody's so unique and so different.
Right.
And it really depends on how much trauma there's been. It depends on how willing and open the person is to receiving help and being able to let it go and release and reconcile those hurts of the past.
What kind of lifting energy? When people have described to you after it's been lifted and uncoiled, where does their life go? What's the change that usually occurs when that's uncoiled and unstifled?
I think first it starts with the liberation of being able to not feel the shame or the shyness of the sexual energy itself, that it is our given birthright and it is part of who we are as human beings. So there's a wonderful liberation that happens for people when they can access that potential and that kind of potent energy. And so that makes them a lot freer in their relationships to be able to share in that sexual creative energy. And then also creativity, not just sexual, but being able to access parts of our imagination that stimulate ideas and that give us this energy to birth creative ideas and creative endeavors. And that makes it a unique experience to ourselves, which puts us in touch with the higher spiritual aspects of ourselves.
Right.
It puts us in touch with source energy.
Right. When it's also too, I understand that when you're releasing that and having it wake up,
Right.
that when you do engage with a partner sexually and you're intimate,
Yeah.
that the orgasmic sensations are really felt more through the rest of the body, not just in the genitals. And then if an orgasm did occur, it's more of an energy, you're awakened, you're not tired, because it's not just coming out of the genitals, but it's coming out of all
Everywhere,
all
every
of
cell.
the cells.
Absolutely.
It comes right out of the head chakra, and it's amazing.
Yeah, everywhere. It's the true ecstatic experience.
So that should be an indication when you have an orgasm, that
Yeah.
if you're charged with energy and you feel like getting up and running around the block 5 times, then you know that you're uncoiled.
Yeah, that life force energy has traveled up and moved outwards, and it's very liberating and extremely ecstatic.
And the more you generate and work with that energy and hold it without having any orgasm, allow the body to start to feel all those orgasmic sensations. The longer
that we can hold it.
It's just a vibration that it keeps you. It's an energy vibration that can keep you just moving through. You're actually walking on a little orgasmic vibration.
Yeah.
In a way. I
Yes,
mean, that's how I feel. I understand the
yeah.
whole practice and the whole meditative place of breathing and drawing with breath. What kind of movements can really help open up that sex chakra?
Well, anytime that we use our pelvis, like to move the pelvis in circles or slow figure 8 motions,
Right.
or forward hip bumps back and forth, side to side, will help to stir.
Opening up the hips.
Yeah. Practices like yoga, anytime we're opening
Right.
the lower pelvis, the low back, inside here, the groin,
Right.
is important.
Do you
But
think-
the stirring is an important motion
Mm-hmm.
to help free and liberate. And
Do you think there's more women that have the block than men, or in your experience with your work?
Well, I would say in my experience with work, for sure, more women, because women are usually more open to admit that they need help with this area and they want the help.
Right.
Men tend to shy away from admitting that they need help in this area.
Right.
So yes, personally I have seen more women, but theoretically I don't think it's more men or more women than men
I think
necessarily.
I think it's healthy for women to open up that area, to start really embracing that, because it can change your life.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, there's a confidence and a power and empowerment that comes with having balanced chakra system, having a balanced energy field. And the sacral chakra is a big part of that balance because it is the house of the unconscious. So when it's not balanced, when it's stuck or when it's laying dormant, that's when we're at risk.
it's really, it's important to really open up that all of the chakras, but mainly get that's where it's all coiled. When we pull it with breath, that's the gateway to get it funneled up to the crown, correct?
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Through the breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Energy, orange energy. That's where
I
it
wore my
sits.
orange pants in honor of the sacral chakra.
Yeah,
which
there's
is
the color, coordinated colors, and the sex chakra is orange, and I think it's amazing, amazing, amazing energy. I love the discovery and playing with it and being able to control it.
Right.
Is another powerful, empowering place to be. It was really great having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's always good energy to have the spiritual aspect of sex. It's great. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to the show, and I'm talking with Bruce Anderson today with an interesting topic, orgasmic meditation. And he's going to do a little demo for us as well, just to show everybody out there actually how to do an orgasmic meditation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here, Bruce.
I'm delighted to be here.
And so with this practice is a lifestyle practice. It's something that we can do every day with your turn-on therapy that you do. Just explain to me a little bit what orgasmic meditation is.
Right,
I mean,
sure.
I love it already.
Right. It does have that
orgasms.
catchy. It does have that catchy ring to the name. Orgasmic meditation is a mindful sexuality practice. I like to describe it as a practice, and it's a practice just like yoga or exercise and so on.
Right.
It's a practice that works to teach the practitioners the ability to achieve attention and focus, because if you think about it, the thing that people, all of us, want most of all is attention.
For sure.
That's what drives us. Next level connection. This is a practice which allows people over time to build connection to a level that most people on this planet have never even dreamed was possible.
So orgasmic, that's kind of sexual.
Yes.
Because I mean,
well, the practice itself, mechanically, and I'll show you this, a little bit of it in a moment, involves stroking a woman's genitals.
So is this just orgasmic meditation only deals with women?
The genitals that are stroked are a clitoris.
The clitoris.
So anyone who has a clitoris can be the strokee.
Okay.
The stroker can be man or woman, or however they want to identify themselves.
Okay.
And the third component of the practice, I mentioned the first two, is to teach us how to get out of our heads. Right. Most of us spend way too much time in this culture thinking, analyzing, overthinking everything, and this teaches us how to get out of that pesky thought machine down into our body, into our sensations, living in the moment.
So how long would somebody do an orgasmic meditation for?
Oh, the practice itself is a 15-minute practice.
15 minutes.
Yes.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
And what's the first step?
The first step...
Where do you touch?
Yes, well, the first step isn't even touching. The first step is asking. This is a practice.
Right.
And an important aspect of this practice is that when people agree to, we use the verb to om,
Right.
short for orgasmic meditation. The first step in the practice is agreeing to do it.
Right.
So
Consent.
I would say to you, exactly, I would say to you, would you like to om? And you could say no, and that would be that.
Yeah.
Or you could say yes, and that would be a commitment for 15 minutes.
Okay.
It doesn't mean we would go out for coffee later.
Right.
It doesn't mean we've established a relationship.
So
it just
how does it
means
start? So
15
you've gone
minutes.
through the wheel of consent,
Right.
and you've got the strokey.
Right. Yes. We set
consenting
up a
to that.
nest,
Yeah.
which is typically a yoga mat with a blanket or towel over it,
Mm-hmm.
some pillows set up for the woman's head, her legs. The woman would undress from the waist down.
Right.
Everything else is closed. The stroker remains completely clothed. She lies down, butterflies her legs open. I would, as the stroker, if it was me,
Right.
I would step across her waist, sit on a heavy cushion to the side. My left leg would cross her waist. I would sit down. We'd arrange right legs. People's geometry is different. The right legs always go slightly different.
Yeah.
There is a video that shows this mechanics on the website.
Right.
We get into position. The first step is just like at the beginning of a massage. There's a grounding. If you've ever had a massage, the massager starts with just gentle pressure, and that's a grounding step. Lets everybody connect to each other
Right.
and relax that vigilance center that we want to relax
So
so,
what do
we
you
can escape.
What are you going to stroke?
Okay. Then comes the next.
on the vulva.
Right. The next step is noticing,
Right.
where I actually would describe to the woman in completely non-judgmental terms what I'm observing. I would actually be focusing my attention on her vulva, describing it.
Just visual first. without
Visual,
touching.
just visual description without
Right.
touching. The next step, this is after I've done the grounding step. Next step, I would alert her, I would put on gloves and lubrication.
Right.
The next step, I would alert her, safeport her, that I'm going to touch her pussy. I use the word pussy, and spread her lips. And then I would place, may I use your
Yeah,
demo?
I have vulva and clitoris here. For
Okay,
the
wonderful.
demo, so yeah,
Wonderful.
I'd like you to show.
Okay, so this,
you
I'll,
would
I'll,
actually-
I'll have to modify this a little bit so
Yeah,
the
do
cameras
it.
can see it.
Do it.
Ordinarily, if it was a real live person, my leg would be across the top here.
Okay,
I'll just place this on top of my knee
All right.
for purposes of
show
the
me.
camera. Now, the positioning for grounding purposes, my thumb, my right thumb would be across her right leg,
Right.
placed under her cheeks,
Right.
and placed with wearing gloves with
Yeah,
lube,
yeah.
would be placed right here at her introitus.
Right.
My left finger is the one I would stroke with. I would use these fingers, which do not have lube on them, to spread her lips and draw her hood back,
Right.
and place my finger here so I would stroke not just her clitoris, but the upper left-hand
And
quadrant.
how much pressure are you going to be using on that? Like maybe just like if you're going to
Very light.
stroke
If you
the
could-
eyelid of your eye about that.
If you could
Pressure?
press on your eyelid,
so
that's
delicately.
about very
Yeah,
delicate.
Like a feather.
A feather to, well, you can press harder than a feather on your eyelid,
Okay,
but
so
that's the typical
So
range.
that's the area.
And this would go on for 15 minutes.
15 minutes, hey?
Yes, that's.
Now what if
that's
she
a
starts
time-
moving and grooving, her hips are starting to rotate and it's starting to feel good? Like, are you encouraging dialogue here?
The
Don't drop my
remember.
vagina.
Yes, here I'll set this aside so
Okay,
it doesn't
that
fall
was
on the ground.
interesting.
We don't want to do that. Yeah, the communication that happens during this, there's several levels. There's a verbal level of communication. There's a powerful nonverbal level of communication where literally, as people get practice, I mean, the first couple of times you do this, you're what's going on? I don't know, and you can't focus.
Yeah, I
but
practiced
after you
this.
learn it,
Yeah.
you get into a situation where you actually start to feel what your partner is experiencing.
Right.
You share those sensations.
Because they're speaking or they're moving, you're feeling
Because
the energy.
It's a
powerful energy down
energy. It's an energy feeling,
Yeah.
an energetic thing. I have, recognize what's going on and adjust my stroke accordingly.
Right.
The communication, there is verbal communication that happens, and this is designed to be so simple that it doesn't force us to go away from the sensations into our head.
So you obviously have to set a time clock for,
yes.
for this.
It's an app on a smartphone.
And you're staying right there on that one spot and just
right.
and doing that for 15 minutes.
That's where the word meditation comes in, and
why,
mindfulness.
Why are you actually encouraging the receiver to meditate with that? What if they start asking, it feels really good, I'm starting to get aroused?
Oh, the communications from the strokeee would be in the form of adjustments. And what she is looking for is to keep the sensation present and high.
Where did you learn this practice?
I learned this practice through One Taste.
One Taste, yeah.
Yes, One Taste, the corporation out of California.
Yep.
I actually took my training in New York City.
Right. And you collaborate with them?
Yes, I'll be opening up a Toronto affiliate shortly.
And after the 15 minutes is finished,
right,
is there some kind of de-armoring afterwards?
Exactly. There's a final, we call it a final grounding, which involves basically taking my left hand, folding it like this, and pressing both down and towards the head.
Right.
And it's interesting that most strokers and men discover that, oh, women can take a lot more pressure than I'm comfortable
Right.
applying.
So is this something that men can learn how to do
oh, yes.
for their partner? And
Yes.
does this happen with the male genitals, or is it just the female
There
genitals?
is an advanced practice called a male ohm.
Okay.
I've done it. I've received it. I describe it as interesting, but in terms of the energetic value that I get out of practice, the reason that I do the practice, I much prefer the female.
Why is it important to it's always generated with the male or the female first? Why is that crucial?
In a sense, this is a celebration of female orgasm.
Okay. And
because female orgasm is a dramatically richer,
Yeah.
more expanded, more nuanced experience.
and she can get in tune with how it actually feels
Yes.
to have the non-intrusive approach to
exactly.
her
Yes.
beautiful yoni.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and to be aware of, wow,
It's-
maybe that's
it's-
all
it's
I want
awareness.
is just that meditation
Yes,
with
it's
that
just
every day.
building this, because this is a practice
Can you do it
that's
every
done.
day?
You can do it several times a day.
Oh, can you?
This is a practice that is stripped down to absolute bare bones simplicity. All of the normal baggage and obligations that go along with sex, with relationships, are stripped out.
Right, it's a great place for women to get reconnected just with
Exactly.
the vibration of just
Yes.
of no expectation and have no goal other than just to lie there
Exactly.
and meditate with the sensation, because
Yeah.
it's pretty empowering stuff.
Yes, I've had a comment from one of the women in my community who said, "Oh, going for a couple of weeks without oming is like PMSing all the time."
Wow, that's amazing stuff that you
Yes.
do. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching the show today. It was great having my two guests on, Bruce Anderson, Susan Meehan. And if you have any topics that you want to discuss with me, you can drop me an email directly at sexwithdrzen@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.